This is the Flabbergasted Podcast, where we just can't believe you haven't seen it.
Every episode, we discuss a movie that one of us has seen and the other hasn't.
And sometimes that neither of us have seen.
Follow us on Instagram
At flabberpod.
and subscribe in your podcast app of choice. I'm your host, Jessica.
I'm your host, Rogi. Let's get to it.
Spoiler alert. This episode of the Flabbergasted Podcast is covering a recently released movie and may contain spoilers. Consider yourself warned.
Hey guys, Jessica and I are here talking about Jurassic World Rebirth, which is the 7th over the last 32 years of the Jurassic series. This is one of my favorite series. I've grown up watching it. And so I was really excited to go out and see this next one. It came out in 2025, so we went and saw it opening day this week. Oh, that was this week. Yep. It's directed by Gareth Edwards. It starts out with a new era is born. 5 years after the events of Jurassic World Dominion, covert operations expert Zora Bennett is contracted to lead a skilled team on a top secret mission to secure genetic material from the world's 3 most massive dinosaurs. When Zora's operation intersects with a civilian family whose boating expedition was capsized, they all find themselves stranded on an island where they come face to face with a sinister, shocking discovery that's been hidden from the world for decades. What are your thoughts on just the beginning / Jurassic World? How did you get into it, Jess?
I don't remember. They just always were.
They've just always been.
Yeah. I do remember, I want to say I watched the first one with my mom and my aunt.
Okay.
But I don't know how.
Like the very first one? That's
the very first one, Dr. Alan Grant. But I don't remember if we saw it in the theater. And honestly, that could be totally made up by time because for whatever reason, I just associate them with this movie.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember specifically. I remember, right, it's kind of scary.
Mm-hmm.
I remember us laughing in the first one when Laura Dern, I think is her IRL name. I can't remember her name in the movie. And she's running to flip the switch, that's across the compound, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And Samuel L. Jackson arm touches her shoulder.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like my aunt was like, he's not going to be attached or something like that. And it was just his arm and she's freaking out. I remember that very specifically. I remember, just at the beginning when I saw it, it's very scary. And also I was much, much, much younger. And now when I see them, I'm like, there are the jump scares. This is a really formulaic movie. There's dinosaurs that we are recreating that we should know better. And then we're surprised when they act like animals. Hello, that's what they are. And then, that kind of thing. So I still love them. I still think it has one of the best scores.
Yeah. Of course. Love the music.
Music can be so inspiring, and especially soundtrack music, scores from a movie can just be so inspiring. And this is like that for me. So
yeah,
that's what I remember about them. I have seen them all.
Nice.
I just couldn't tell you what happens for which movie. The storylines have all just blended into one big thing.
Okay. Yeah. So I started out, I'm pretty sure the very first one I watched all the way through was Jurassic Park 3, which came out in 2001. And I had definitely seen bits and pieces of the first 2, which is Jurassic Park, which came out in 93, and then The Lost World Jurassic Park in 97.
So 3 is the one. What's 3?
Where Alan and then his buddy, they go to the island because they're searching for the little boy, and then his buddy steals the egg. Yes. Yep. That's the third one.
That's the one with William H. Macy in it, I think.
Maybe.
I Dare Them to Nest in Enid, Oklahoma.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yes, 100%. Yeah.
Oh, and is it Tia Leone? I like her too, even though I can't say her name. She's in 3. She's the mom in 3.
Sure, yeah. I'm terrible with people's names, but yeah. So
you didn't start from the beginning.
So that's the one we watched the most because we had it on DVD and we had the other 2 on VHS, but we weren't allowed to watch it by ourselves. I don't know if our parents just thought it might be too scary at parts or something. So I The 3 is the one I have the most like memory of as like a kid, because for some reason we were allowed to watch that one by ourselves, and like I'm not 100% sure, but like I've seen them all.
Why do you not ask your mom before we podcast about this?
Honestly, I should have, but who knows?
We should call
if
her.
she could remember why
Is she available?
some of the
we
choices.
Should ask her.
Maybe next
we should
time.
just be like, do you remember us not being able to watch? And she'll probably be like, what are you talking about? It was totally fine. You just didn't watch it because it was VHS and you didn't want to rewind the VHS.
No, I rewound VHS. I was that kid in the family. I always rewound the VHSs because I didn't want to deal with it the next time.
Yeah.
But my siblings rarely did. It was very frustrating. But yeah, I grew up watching them once I got to a point where, I mean, I would watch them when they were on TV. And then when the newer ones came out in 2015 and on with Jurassic World and then Fallen Kingdom and Dominion, I saw them all. I got the DVD sets for it. Like, Rogie got me one of them for Christmas that I was just like, oh, great. So I kind of watched them.
You're
around
like
the
a really
holidays.
huge fan.
I love dinosaurs. I think they're really cool. Not to the fact that like I know all of their names and can tell you all this information about them. Like, I just think that they're really neat, and I enjoyed the movies and just like that. In college, I was I considered, if someone asked like, what's your favorite animal or whatever, I would say like, oh, a raptor, because like they're fast and like they're tiny, like they can, do lots of things. They communicate really well. So like even in like job interviews, if people say like, oh, what animal are you? I say a raptor because of those things. Like I can work well in a team and I can be a leader, but I can also follow and like all that stuff. So like, there you go. It's a fun little
fun fact
interview
about Rachel.
thing is
I
like,
love it.
yeah. But with my friend and his husband one time when we were in college, we were talking about it for some reason. I was like, oh, like I would say like I'm similar to a raptor. And one of them was like, oh, because you're small and screechy. And I'm like, okay.
They're not that small though.
Compared to a T-Rex.
Yeah, but.
And compared to like a triceratops and like stuff like that. Like, I mean, they're not as small as like the copies, but like,
yeah, see, I'm like, those are small. The raptors are like regular size, and then everything else is like just extra big.
I would say that they're pretty small to medium for like the carnivore dinosaur, because there's obviously ones that are small, like the copies and the fan poison ones. But yeah,
that one starts with a D, but I can never remember the name, like the Lapa something
like that. Yeah.
That's the creepy one.
Okay, so I did want to give a little bit of premise just on islands, because we're on a new island for this movie. And so...
Which honestly, like, how rich are these people? They're just buying these islands and building dinosaurs. Okay.
And this all happened, years and years ago, because like the movie that we watched is set in present day, but we saw a flashback from 17 years prior.
Yeah.
And then they were there even before that. Because the island that we're going to is one where they just like created, they were mutations.
An island based off of the original trilogy, or an island based off of the second, like Jurassic World movies?
So my understanding is that this island for Rebirth is completely new.
No, but they started that island. They built that island during Jurassic World or Jurassic Park.
I'm not 100% sure on.
Okay.
I don't. Okay. I think it's Jurassic World, because they talk about how like, oh, they wanted them bigger and scarier and stuff like. And so since these are the mutations,
already established the park.
Yes. So I think that it's
park. They hadn't actually established it.
What do you mean?
They didn't have visitors. It got shut down before it ever really had visitors. And then in Jurassic World, they revived the original park. So this one has to be connected to Jurassic World, because they were talking about it like they needed better attractions at that time.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in the Jurassic Park franchise, the main islands that we're at is Isla Nublar and Isla Sorna. And so Nublar is the location for the original Jurassic Park, and then later Jurassic World when they are successful in opening the park. So that's the first movie and then the fourth movie. And then the second and third movie, those are the ones taking place on Isla Sorna. And so that's the ones where they are just like Site B, and they're talking about stuff with like InGen and stuff like that. Yeah. And so this one is the different island, which was the Isle of St. Hubert, maybe? I don't know. It's in the Caribbean near Barbados, closer to the equator. And the other ones are closer to Costa Rica. They're like 120 miles off the coast of it. So like I didn't look at a map hardcore of like where it is, but they're all kind of general down there. But it's a brand new island, but has some correlation to obviously the previous Jurassics. So it opens up and you really just get the sense that like dinosaurs, they just aren't a big deal anymore. Like they're just not happening. I kind of, in my head, as I was thinking about it, it just made me think of like cell phones and the internet, how they're just here. Like we take it all for granted now. And so that's what it made me think of the dinosaurs. Like, it's just kind of like, you know, they're in the way, they're causing trouble. Like, what do we do with them? Like they're literally painting off a mural because it's not the hit thing anymore.
Yep.
And so that's kind of what we jump into in that world. My first thought was, wait, is that Orlando Bloom? Like, I literally leaned over and was like, who is this guy? Because for some reason, he just looks a little bit enough like Orlando Bloom that I thought it was him.
If you like look at him quickly and don't know.
Yeah. Turns out
there's
it's
a
not.
resemblance. It's not him though.
But I was really hyped up on that for a couple minutes because I was like, this seems like an odd spot for Orlando to do. But what was your thoughts of the kind of openingness gearing up for this?
It was kind of sad to see the big dinosaur there and they're like trying to like move it. And so just the logistical nightmare of moving it is crazy. And also just like how unprepared were they for this whole dinosaur thing to happen?
Yeah.
But I do have a note here. Like I totally relate to Henry because he has such passion about something and nobody cares. Like, do you know, like when you were so passionate about something and you were really into it and you're trying to like convey like how important and how meaningful this thing is and nobody cares.
Yeah.
Like I so relate
just
to
like
that.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My other note for like up in that area is that they just met Zora and the pharma guy, whose name I don't remember, and I basically just call him Pharma in all my notes.
Sure.
They just met. She jumps into his car, and then they go talk to Dr. Henry, and they are sitting so close to each other. Like, so close for having just met each other.
I mean, their elbows were touching.
It's and there's a whole empty bench.
Yeah.
So I don't think, like, it's not like it was a little love seat, and they, like, have to sit close to each other. Like, they have chosen to sit super close to each other.
I would sit that close to you.
I would sit that close to you, but I would
to
not.
somebody that I had literally just met. Like, it's not like they were in some undercover thing and like needed to get people like, oh no, like we're bros or anything.
Right.
Like they were just like
they didn't know each other at all. Yeah. I wouldn't say like it's 50-50 of the people that I've known over a year that I would sit that close with, even if I've known you for over a year. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Is very odd to me. But shout out to love that her feet are dangling.
Yes.
If you were paying attention, I leaned over to Rachel. I'm like, her feet are dangling. That is so endearing to me because, I mean, if you don't know, if you have not been following along for however long we've been doing this podcast, I am a shorty and my feet dangle consistently no matter where I sit. Like
everywhere.
Even right now, I'm sitting in a chair and I have a footstool so that I can prop my feet so they are not dangling. This is my life.
Yeah. But also seats are made for men.
Oh,
and
yeah.
so like
why?
If we want to sit all the way back on a seat, then our knees aren't going to be able to touch the ground properly because of just proportions of body. But like, that's a whole nother story. We can talk about that later. So yeah, they have the big money job coming in for pharmaceuticals. They're getting the team together.
Which nobody points out. Actually, they point out in a little bit later. But I was so annoyed because I'm like, oh yeah, Big Pharma wants the 3 biggest dinosaurs' DNA so they can, a very worthy cause, like help prevent, reverse, prolong heart disease or eliminate it in people. So very noble cause. Okay. It always starts out with something like that. But you know what? He doesn't even they talk about it right up front. I'm sorry, I said nobody called it out, but I felt like they were going that route, and then they started calling it out, which I appreciated. Because he's like, oh, that's going to be worth a ton of money.
Yeah.
A ton of money. And then they just keep talking about how much this drug is going to be worth, which, I mean, thank you for pointing it out that we're not doing this out of the kindness of our hearts, even though we're going to talk to her. Like, what if you could have prevented your mom dying from cardiac disease?
Yeah.
Well, she couldn't have, because that drug is going to cost probably more than her 4 years salary. And by the time she would have gotten approved for it, her mom probably would have died anyways.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's super harsh, but healthcare in this country.
Another soapbox we could stand on and talk about for quite a bit. Yeah, for sure.
It's sad that it's just like a byline in this movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we accept it because we know that it's true.
We're just like, yeah, we get it.
Get it.
We live in America.
We don't even have to buy in because it's just factual.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I did feel like, here's the deal. Jurassic will always get my money because I love dinosaur movies and I'm going to always go and see whatever Jurassic movie. But I felt like this movie was pretty rushed. Like, we were just kind of like, introduced these characters. We're off doing this thing. Like, there wasn't really buy-in for me for the characters or the dinosaurs or, just what was going on. Like, it was just kind of like beep, bop, boop. Like, here we go. This is the formula for a Jurassic movie. We're following it and we're going and doing it. And so I was a little out of experience of this one. It didn't hit home as well for me as the other ones did, which, I mean, I have different feelings about all of the different ones. But like, this one is, I felt very much so with this one, just because we were starting new places. We had all these new characters, and I didn't feel like enough groundwork was laid
before they just jump in.
Before they just jump into everything. Yeah.
I highly approve of the gender swap.
Okay. Yeah, for sure.
So ScarJo's the BA that's going to help hunt the dinosaurs, and Dr. Henry is the, nerdy Dr. Geek.
Yeah.
Who Jonathan Bailey plays so well, and he's so endearing, and
he's wonderful.
Yeah. He's just, yeah.
Yeah. How did you feel about the intense water scene of just like dinosaurs? Like, well, first they topple over the family boat. So how did you feel about the family just being out in
what are you
dinosaur
doing?
Invested waters?
You should know.
He did know. Like, he even said, he was like, they don't really bother. Like, I've done this before.
Yeah, but I feel like you're just...
I mean, it's irresponsible.
That has to be a testament to like how chill we've gotten, because dinosaurs have been in the world for a while. But I mean, they know, but are they flying a little too close to the sun? Like, are they getting a little too close to the islands if they're not supposed to be in those waters?
I mean, yeah. Like, they were, I think they said that they were like 20 some miles off, and they were pretty close to the island already when they went to go save the family.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean,
they were pretty too
close.
Closer than they should have been.
Sure.
Which I do not have any sailing experience, so come at me if you want. I will listen. But I imagine that you aren't 100% on course all the time based on the tides and the wind and the, you're going to get blown around a little bit. So maybe they just drifted a little closer than he intended. Because how do you really know outside of your charts and your
because he was
compasses,
tired because he was the only one doing the wheel because the boyfriend wasn't doing it when he needed to.
Which honestly, would you trust him to do it anyways? No.
Perhaps not.
So I mean, so maybe they drifted a little closer, but I just felt like it was a little irresponsible for them to be that close.
Yeah. So the team that's trying to procure the dinosaur blood, they go and rescue this family because they hear the Mayday. Then they are like, oh, we'll just take this family with us to go and do this job on this island of dangerous dinosaurs.
Not necessarily
questionable
a surprise,
choices,
but I don't agree with it. Yeah.
So then we get another intense water scene where this large water dinosaur is knocking up on this boat, and they're trying to shoot at it so they can get the blood that they need. And then they end up having to go onto land because the boat shipwrecks and, to further the story along. So how did you feel kind of about that action-based scene? Where were you on that?
I thought there were going to be 2 dinosaurs, honestly, and I feel like they missed an opportunity with that.
I was also underwhelmed. When they said that like, oh, these dinosaurs also come on land, I was like, great. Now that we're going to have a chase, like, there's going to be more to it. And the one came onto the shore and then left.
Yeah.
Like that was it. And so they're just.
Yeah, because I don't think that they wanted to get into the, like, I don't think they wanted to be, I don't think they wanted to be land-dwelling dinosaurs. I think they just had the option, but they're with their buddy.
I don't know. I just felt like you said earlier, it was a missed opportunity. Like I felt like multiple times throughout the movie, I would get to a point and like we were going and I'm like, oh man, like, okay, it's finally going to happen. And then they would stop. And so I feel like this was kind of the first instance where that happened for me, where it was just like, okay, we're getting there. Like I'm almost getting what I want from this dinosaur thing. And then it just didn't happen.
Yeah.
Something I noticed also throughout the movie is there's quite a bit of like Aztec structure. Like we have some like stairs. We've got some like buildings that are not done.
Yeah, are they setting that up for something?
So I don't know, because like in the pterodactyl space, like they have like that area, but there's also the stones that are put up between the water chase with the T-Rex and the family. Or I don't know if it's fully a T-Rex. It might have been something, but like a very large dinosaur similar to that, which I enjoyed that scene. I thought they did that scene really well.
That was fabulous. I just saw this clip on Instagram where they said that came from, that scene had been like, was written for one of the other movies and wasn't filmed for it.
Okay.
And so they tweaked it a little bit for this movie and they got to film it like, so it had been like sitting in the vault for.
Oh, that's kind of fun.
The brain vault, not an actual, because they didn't film it. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
But my note here is, we've been through all of these other movies. This is the same world as all of these other movies. And shouldn't they know not to run from the T-Rex?
Yeah, but that's something we have to know is like, we've seen all of these movies, but they haven't seen all of these movies.
I have to assume that if there are dinosaurs roaming the earth, we've had these conversations. We have all of these documentaries and all of this. We have an entire show dedicated to wildlife an entire channel dedicated to wildlife and what to do if you encounter a bear. Like,
Rogi's never watched that.
Me?
There's definitely people that have, like, I understand what you're saying.
Some people have never watched it. But are you telling me that he hasn't interacted with one conversation with one other person who's saying?
He maybe has, but like I hear what you're saying. I'm not saying like you're wrong in any way. It's just that the world we live in today, people aren't out there doing the research or trying to figure it. Like they're just in our lives, whatever. Then these dinosaurs need to figure it out so they can live around me. Like it's a complete American culture of like, you need to adjust your life because this is where I live.
I will accept that. However, I'm going to come back at you. You don't think Ruben, the guy who's sailing around the world, is like read up on any of those things?
I mean, he should, for sure.
And you don't think he's like imparted any of that knowledge to his children?
I think there is a separation going on.
This is like a basic knowledge the kids should be learning in school?
Oh, are you kidding me? With the American education system? Absolutely not. We're not no. That's another thing that we don't have time to talk about right now. Okay, folks, we're just hitting a lot. But yeah, the American education system, absolutely not teaching them about dinosaurs for sure. It's not in the standards. We're not writing it up on the wall. No, not happening. So yeah, I'm really glad that they had that scene. And I think it's fun that it came from the vault because that was a scene that like to completion, I think it worked really well for me. Yeah.
Reminiscent of,
Yeah.
I love in that, not to get like too detailed, but when she realizes that the T-Rex is behind her and he's just like sprawled out just like a dog and then he just like rolls over a dog or a cat. Very just basic animal of this creature. Yeah. And I love it.
He's just living life.
You really get to see like these dinosaurs in their everyday life as opposed to in some of the movies where we're disrupting them and like tormenting them essentially.
Yeah.
So I really thought that was fun because then he like goes over and he's like drinking water and he's like just living his best life. Love it.
So one of the things about Jonathan Bailey is that he plays the clarinet and piano, and he had the opportunity to play with the orchestra, and he did clarinet, and they ended up giving him a solo in the orchestra, like in the movie. So that way, when the point where it's either right around or as he's touching like a wild dinosaur for the first time, that's him playing like the music for it. And so I thought that was such a fun piece just for him and like his memories. And then also just like to incorporate, you know, his other talents into this, because you wouldn't think of like, oh yeah. I mean, like way back in the day, like you had to sing, you had to dance, you had to act, like, you know, that people on TV, they had to do everything. And nowadays it's normally one or
a little
two,
more specialized.
like, it's just kind of, And so I think that it was really fun for him to be able to do that. And I always love the scene where, you know, it's the people seeing the dinosaur.
They're respecting it. Yeah, I do too. And he does it so well. And I'm so jealous because he has such like a pretty cry.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he was like sobbing, but he was like overwhelmed with emotion. And he just has such a pretty cry. And my cry is like so ugly. So I was a little jealous of that, but it was so good. I'm super excited to see him in more stuff.
Oh yeah.
Because he's just very, very captivating.
Yeah. One of the things that I did like about this scene was that we saw the long necks. That was the second dinosaur that they were getting the blood from. But they were definitely mixed with something. And so I kind of think that they were mixed with a couple of different things because their tails were really long.
Really long.
And
like
so it
insane.
made me think a little bit about raptor, but obviously something else, because they had kind of the tail fin as well that came up and down on the neck. And so I think it was a couple of different ones. But just, I felt like it was just such a beautiful scene, seeing them in the grass and them like cuddling each other. Like just, I mean, I love long necks because of Land Before Time. That's probably honestly where my dinosaur love started, was Land Before Time.
Yeah.
All of those movies before I hit into the hard and heavy Jurassic movies. And so, I thought that was a really beautiful scene, and I liked being able to see, and it got me starting to think of like all the other dinosaurs we saw. What are the mixes here? Because this is the mutation island. Like these are the ones that are being combined to make bigger, better, stronger, whatever.
Scarier.
Yeah. And so did you have any thoughts when you saw the dinosaurs of like, hey, like, you know, which, okay.
I did not care that much.
That's totally fine.
I was just like, this is fun. And obviously you could tell that they weren't like the standard dinosaurs that we hear about.
Yeah.
But I mean, and the other thing that I was thinking is that's a very unrealistic design.
I mean, I think they looked cool.
What are you doing with those tails? Like,
yeah, I mean, for them,
if they stretch out behind you, like, what is their purpose? Because generally speaking, creatures have everything about them has a purpose.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, balance.
If they have a really strong tail or whatever, they're holding on and grabbing onto things with it. But let me tell you, that dinosaur's not hanging from a tree with that tail.
I think for them, it's like balance, and also just like, because the tail that it most reminded me of was the one from Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, when they went and were collecting the dinosaurs and then selling them. And so they had created the Indominus Rex or whatever, or like something where it was like a bigger, stronger, stealthier raptor. Mm-hmm. And so like that tail, kind of the long and wispy, reminded me of that. So I'm thinking just kind of something like within that. But I think mainly it was just for cosmetic. Like,
well, that's what I'm saying. If we designed it, we didn't do it with a very good purpose. And so that's why I was thinking like, we're just like, oh, this will be cool. Like, anyways, that's what I was thinking. But I was also thinking they're very fun looking.
Yes.
Like, and it's a very cute moment. Like you get caught up in the awe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I appreciate.
So yeah. So they've got they end up doing the whole pterodactyl scene. Was that scary for you at all because of the heights and everything?
No.
Okay. I thought that it was interesting that they found that they had to scale it down.
When there were stairs right there.
Found stairs, which we didn't see the stairs technically go into the home of the pterodactyl, but they went all the way down the mountain.
Yeah, they would have had to like pass through it or come by it or something.
So they climbed all the way up, scaled partly down, took the steps down.
Or they came at it from a different side and didn't actually climb up. They just like came at it from the other side and then went down.
So yeah, just a lot going on here. I feel like maps could have been better for them because they still had the tracking device
after 30 years.
Like the tracking devices still worked and everything.
Did they have that stuff?
But did we not have a 17-year-old map?
How much stuff got dropped from the boat? They had a bunch of stuff on the boat. Boat crashes. They try to salvage a bunch of stuff. It gets drug under by one of the finny dinosaurs.
So you think one of the maps was on the boat?
And then she literally says, anything that you can't carry, you need to drop.
Yeah.
So by the time we get out of the pterodactyl place, they have basically nothing on them.
Yeah. Just like a couple guns and mainly the suitcase of blood. So, yeah.
So my point is like they might have known, but they just didn't have the tools that they needed at that point.
Yeah.
They came super prepared, but they didn't think about like
dinosaurs.
Well, they didn't think about like convenience of like having it on your person or they had a bunch of stuff, but they weren't thinking about
and they
like
did think they were going to have more people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So they meet up, everybody's back together, and then we're just kind of trying to figure out how we're getting off on that.
So many of my favorite points.
Oh my gosh, go for it.
One, they're wading through the nasty water, which is so gross. And Duncan said, they're having this conversation, and Duncan says to the doctor, he goes, "You're weird." And Dr. Henry goes, "Thank you." And I love that. I love that he can celebrate being weird because weird isn't like necessarily negative. It's just very different.
Mm-hmm.
And he very obviously is very confident in the things that make him different, and he's okay with that.
Yeah.
And I absolutely 1000% am here for that in this world, in this day and age. Like,
yeah,
it's okay to be different. Honestly, it's okay to be weird.
Yeah.
Where it gets not okay is when we're like borderlining on like creepy. Like, if you're creepy, then you probably need to like do some reflection and figure that out.
Don't be creepy, be weird.
Yeah. So love that. The other thing is the family gets separated, and I have 2 notes on this boyfriend.
Yeah.
And my first note is obviously from the boat, we notice he's super, super lazy, but then we get separated. He jumps in the water to save his girl, whatever. That's adorable. And the dad and the 2 girls are sleeping, and the boyfriend is like on watch, and Ruben goes to get up and he's like, "Oh, I'll take watch." And the boyfriend's like, No, it's okay. You get some more sleep. I got this. And I have this note here, like Ruben's supposed to be grateful that the boyfriend is going to be on watch and take a second shift, when really, like, why should we be happy about this or surprised when somebody's just being a decent person? Like, by taking a watch shift, he's meeting expectations, but we're supposed to give him like a freaking gold star and be super happy. And I get really conflicted about this because I'm like, well, Jessica, as coach, you have to meet people where they are. And so he's obviously not prepared for the responsibility of being on watch all the time. And this giant, situation has like smacked him in the face. And now he understands he's got to step up and be a little more responsible.
Yeah.
But I still am like, that doesn't mean we should be like, yeah, let's celebrate his growth. But at the same time, dude, he's at a point in his life where he should have just been responsible anyways.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe not the most responsible, but responsible enough to take the wheel or, hey, listen when somebody's talking to you.
Yeah.
Like, I have very conflicted about this whole thing. But yeah, I have that note. But then during the same scene, I really appreciate, and I'm going to butcher this, but Ruben basically says the boyfriend is like, he starts kind of talking bad about himself because he's like, "I don't know why your daughter's with me either." And then he says a couple of like more negative things, not like, like negative things about himself. Before he was just kind of like, he was coming from like a place of gratefulness that the daughter was with him.
Yeah.
But then he's like, "'Cause I'm trash." I'm again paraphrasing. And Ruben says to him something like, people talk a lot of trash about us. We don't have to listen to them or help them.
Yeah.
Because if we do too much, it becomes true. And I really appreciated that because he's like, I don't really like this kid. But at the same time, I see this and I can say, like, don't talk bad about yourself.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to give in to what other people are saying about you. And so I really appreciated that. I encounter people where they do that and it's past self-deprecating. It becomes very negative self-talk. And it's like,
yeah,
you don't have to do that. So, okay. So appreciate that. Now we can go back to
I think I leaned over to you when he had said that, and I was like, "Ooh, you should post it for your coaching, like
you
Instagram.
Did. You
so
did.
That way, it's like,
yeah,
you know, we got something recent that's coming out, and just do a little, yeah." So yeah, I didn't want to go into the whole ending of things, but just kind of like generally how it went. I mean, we expected, I think it was cool that Zara had the backup plan of like, hey, if you haven't heard from us in X amount of hours, send a helicopter, you need to do this pass. So they had a good like, okay, what is our next game plan to get off this island?
Yeah.
Like, what's that going to look like? I knew as soon as the helicopter came down and saw them that a dinosaur was something was going to happen. They were not going to get off from the helicopter. That was pretty obvious. One of the things that frustrated me was like this big dinosaur that was at the beginning was this big scary like D-Rex or whatever that we didn't really get to see, but like caused, you know, the havoc of why this island shut down in the first place because it didn't get out. It just ate someone. So I don't quite fully understand why the whole place was shut down, but it at some points.
And in 30 something years, wouldn't it have left its baseline home? Okay. 17 years. Wouldn't it have like moved around the island?
Possibly.
And explored?
But it might have just kind of kept its like little nest area there. But so like at one point we do see it with a whole human in its mouth.
Yeah.
And then at another point we see it with most of a helicopter in its mouth. And so it's like,
oh, proportion.
I don't know how big this dinosaur is. I know it's supposed to be big and scary, but I don't have a good grasp on what the dinosaur fully looks like and how big it is because I feel like there was mist. And it could have been the tail of the helicopter was in its mouth and maybe the other part was hanging out. I'm not remembering it correctly, but that's just kind of another one of my kind of frustrations.
Yeah,
with
it's
this
hard to tell.
movie
I feel like the Jurassic movies have been pretty good about
consistency.
Like proportion consistency.
Yeah, they've stayed pretty true to that because we've almost always had just a T-Rex in all of them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it has been in all of them, but like that's a cornerstone in them. Like the T-Rex, the sign, which I thought it was fun to see that at the museum.
So many little.
Yeah, we had little Easter eggs that just kind of that I appreciated
really
and it was fun. But yeah, if I were to like rate this one, it would definitely be lower. It did not really hit in as many of the feels for me, just what was going on with the story. I will definitely watch it again if I have the opportunity to for free.
Yeah.
But it's not something I'm going to be like, oh man, this was so great. I'm going to go back to the theaters. And
I would 1000% watch a sequel with these characters in it.
Sure.
I mean, I think I would willingly want to go and see that outside of it being like a Jurassic movie. Because I would have waited to see this at home. But you and Jer were really like, we should go see this. And I was like, well, okay. I mean, I love going to the movies. So
yeah,
I'll go see it. But like for my own device, I probably would have waited to see it. But I liked it and I would watch it again.
Yeah, I think it would be good to kind of pick up on some of the things. Just because I was so critiqueful of it, I think it would be good to see it again. But
I would probably notice more Easter eggs if I watched it again.
Yeah, it's so far ranked at my least favorite. But like I said,
Your least favorite
of all the Jurassics, yeah, for sure.
I think it would have been fun if ScarJo's character was the girl, the cloned girl.
Oh.
And I was wondering that in the beginning and then
interesting.
It veered off.
She just totally dropped her. No, because her mother died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely wasn't her, but that would have been fun.
Yeah. That would be interesting to see if she comes back or what that looks like.
I also think, like, wouldn't they have, This is so silly. Dinosaurs have been around for 17 years, and you're telling me you can't find one special ops person with dinosaur experience?
So it's more than 17. So 17 years was the
Since
flashback.
they've been,
so like that's
okay.
when
it was less than 17
that
years.
island, more than 17 years.
No, I mean, have been open in the world, not just a park.
Yes.
Either way, you're telling me.
We don't know when this island in comparison to Jurassic World Park happened because they were two separate entities. Because the Jurassic World Park happened on the same island as the Jurassic Park.
Mm-hmm.
And so this one is a new island where they were making them and then shuttling them over to that park. And so we don't know when that park disintegrated, the timeline of when this island erupted, because they shut it down after that big dinosaur had its attack.
But they had to have it's irrelevant, because what I'm saying is dinosaurs have escaped and are in the world after the Jurassic World movie, the last one with Bryce Dallas Howard and Chris Pratt.
Yeah, Fallen Kingdom.
Okay, that one.
Yeah,
and they're out there in the world, and people know this because they've become desensitized to them. And so what I'm saying is you have not found one special ops person that understands search and rescue and or whatever special situational awareness or whatever her title is, and has experience with dinosaurs.
No.
She did really well, but I'm like, they're always underprepared for this, and it's really starting to get old. 7 movies in, it's really starting to get old that we're underprepared to meet dinosaurs.
Welcome to America.
They're not in America.
There were. And that's where the big chunk of the dinosaurs were. No, well, they ended up getting all over the world, but yeah.
So, I would watch it again. I probably will watch it again. It's not like my top movie, and it's not one that I'll be like watching every year.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But I would probably watch it. It did not make me cry, which is a good thing in this case, because the one movie when the dinosaurs dying because the island is on fire,
that rough.
Made me cry.
Fallen Kingdom. I saw the commercial for it, and I was just like, I don't know if I'm emotionally prepared to do this. And that might have been one of the ones I went to by myself and sat in the movie theater.
I think we watched that with.
Was it that one, or was it
Rogi?
The one before?
I don't remember.
I think it might have been the one before. I don't remember, but I've seen, it was rough stuff.
Didn't love that.
Yeah, at all. The little long neck. Well,
he's very clearly crying.
Yes, it was rough stuff for sure. Definitely, if you're a dinosaur fan, I'm always going to encourage you to go and watch Jurassic movies, but also don't if you don't want to. Make your own choices.
You do you.
Yeah. So thanks for hanging out with us. And
bye.
Bye.